Hi everyone. In this video, I will walk you through how to conduct a systematic literature review or SLR. This is a structured method to identify, evaluate, and synthesize all relevant research on a specific topic. So by end of this session, you will understand the key steps involved and how to apply SLR technique in your research project. A systematic literature review is actually differs from the traditional or the narrative review because it follows a structured and a transparent process. So the objective is to reduce personal bias by using predefined steps that anyone can replicate. So these make the SLR particularly very valuable for researchers who wanted to produce reliable evidence, to identify research gap, or to provide a strong justification for their study. There are several reasons why SLR is very important. First, it helps you to identify what has been studied, where the gaps are. The second point is it helps to summarize current findings so that you are not going to repeat what others have done. And in SLR, it also helps to refine your theoretical framework and to provide a solid justification for the study you want to conduct. Essentially, it actually helps to ensure that your research is grounded in a strong evidence. There are several essential or key steps in SLR. The process actually starts by defining a clear research problem and formulating specific research question. Then you will develop keywords. You're going to set inclusion and the exclusion criteria of your study, and you can begin the database search. Once you gather the articles, you're going to review, you're going to screen and extract the data, and also to synthesize the findings. So last but not least, you're going to provide report on the review that should be full transparency. Okay, let's go into the steps by step. We'll begin with step 1. So this first step is to clarify, clearly to define your research problem. You should be able to ask yourself, what topic do I want to explore and why do I need this systematic review? So at this stage, it helps to identify boundaries. Okay, for instance, regarding the target population that you are focusing for your study, the context of the study, or even the time frame. So some researchers, they use framework like PICOC to refine the problem, but this is optional. So you have either PICOC or SPICE as the option. Okay, let me show you an example here of the PICOC framework. So from the slides, you can see that the PICOC is one of the tools to help researchers to clearly define their research problem scope and your search strategy. Okay, and this basically will help you to prepare for a systematic literature review, SLR. Okay, example that I provide here is on the context of marketing. Okay, topic given as an example is the impact of social media influencers on skincare product purchase intention. So the P stands for the consumers in the skincare market. I is the exposure to social media influences. C refers to the traditional advertising exposure, and this is optional. O is purchase intention or brand attitude, and C is online retail or social media environment. So using PICOC, it helps the researcher to break down the topic and create an accurate search keywords when they start to explore the definition of the variables. Okay, while SPICE framework is another option that you have, often it's actually used in social sciences, in marketing, in business studies, and qualitative research, where it helps researcher to formulate a very clear research question. So you can see an example here. The S stands for the setting, P, perspective, or the population that you are focusing into. I is the intervention or the activities or the factors that are being studied. C is comparison. You might want to compare to the intervention. And lastly is the E, evaluation on the outcome or the effect that being measured. Okay, again, I use an example of a marketing context. Right, title is Effectiveness of TikTok Videos in Promoting Local Skincare Brand. So the S in my search will be on TikTok platform, followed by P, which is the audience or the population representing Malaysian millennials. I, exposure to TikTok marketing videos. C, exposure to Instagram posts, and this is optional. E, engagement, purchase intention, or brand recall. So SPICE is specifically useful for qualitative or an exploratory review of a paper. Okay, a quick summary based on the two framework of PCOG and SPICE. You can see that I put a note that the use of these two framework, it depends on the nature of the study that you are concentrating into. For PCOG, it breaks down the research problem. It helps to generate keywords for SLR. And this framework is actually best for quantitative or mixed method. And SPICE is actually useful to help in developing research questions, focusing on social setting. And this is best to be used if you're conducting qualitative or exploratory study. Okay, next, continue from the step one that I have shared earlier using the two framework. So step two is actually developing research question and keywords. So in this second step, the questions will guide your review and to ensure relevance. So you should break down your questions into key concepts and translate them into keywords. And then you should be able to combine these keywords using Boolean operators, such as the word and, or, and not, to create effective search string. So this will help you to increase the accuracy and the efficiency of your search. So in the content of the topic, you can also see where I have shared some of the steps or idea on how to use the Boolean operator. Okay, step 3 on inclusion and exclusion criteria. So in this step, the purpose is actually to ensure that your review stays focused and unbiased. So this criteria must be decided before the search begins. You might limit your review to peer review studies or using certain years or on specific population. But the key is to document everything clearly so that your review is transparent and able to be replicated. Okay, step 4 refers to the systematic search process. So in this step, you're going to conduct the actual research. Related to the study, you should choose appropriate database and apply your predefined search strings. Document each search, make sure that you put all this information using a database name based on the date, the filter used, or number of results. So then you should export your articles into reference management software to keep your workflow organized. Okay, step 5 is on screening and study selection. Okay, so once you have your articles, what you need to do next is actually to remove duplicates and to begin the screening. First, you have to scan the titles and abstract to remove any irrelevant studies. Then you conduct a full text review of the remaining articles. And you should also apply your inclusion and exclusion criteria consistently. Most SLR, they use a Prisma flowchart to illustrate the selection process. Okay, here I share to you what is the meaning of Prisma flowchart or flow diagram. So a Prisma flow diagram is a standardized visual chart used in systematic literature review to show the step-by-step process or how studies will identify, screen, and select it for inclusion. Okay, so when you're conducting the Prisma, so this flow will help readers to clearly understand how many records were found, okay, when you're doing the database searching. How many were removed if there is any duplication? How many studies were screened? How many full text articles were reviewed? Why certain articles were excluded, and how many final studies were included into the review. So the Prisma will guide you to do a proper database checking, making sure that all the data that you have gathered is reliable and also transparent. Okay, so back to the steps, right? So now we are in step 6, which is on data extraction and analysis. Okay, so after you have selected your final sets of studies, you need to extract the necessary data. This process typically includes information regarding the authors, the publication years, the methodologies used, the key findings, limitation of studies, as well as the research gap. So analyzing this data will allow you to identify patterns or themes. Okay, so this is a step that formed as the basis of your synthesis. Okay, step 7, which is regarding your synthesizing and reporting of your finding. So this process should come together. So what you need to do is to group your findings into themes. And you need to highlight the research gap and explain the inconsistency that happens across the study. So some reviews will propose a new concept, a new conceptual model. And finally, you should ensure that your reporting is transparent so that other researchers can use your study as reference. Okay, so in conclusion, why SLR matters? Okay, so a systematic literature review, it actually helps you to establish a solid research foundation. It helps researchers to improve their academic rigor and also help to identify authentic gaps that, worth to be explored. And following these structured steps will ensure your research is credible, and able to contribute to a very meaningful, results in the field of your study. So that's all for now. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.